Reading that sentence back, I have to keep stopping myself from correcting it. It's true. Donald Trump is the president. He ain't my fucking president, but he is the president, and we'll leave it at that. I'll bet boners to nipple clamps that I was just like most of you, glued to CNN in pure dread as Trump's numbers kept getting higher and higher. So many people were texting me saying, "Is this really happening? What the shit?" I kept myself from losing it by calming them down, saying, "Don't worry, it's still early. It'll be fine. Our country can't be that fucking stupid." And then, by the time Pennsylvania fell, I sat stunned on my sofa, realizing that my country was in fact that fucking stupid. I whispered a quote from the original Planet of the Apes when Chuck Heston sees Lady Liberty up to her tits in the sand and shouts, "You maniacs! Damn you! Damn you all to hell!" This book started out very different. It started out with a disclaimer about the dangers of foisting a despot like Donald Drumpf, real family name, on this country. It talked about a Hillary victory I was so sure was going to happen. I wasn't really that invested in her per se. I just didn't want the Cheeto to win. I had faith that it wouldn't happen, that most blue-collar people would come to their senses and go the other way. But that never happened. And in fact, it got worse. The GOP, otherwise known as the Republicans, ended up keeping their majority in the Senate and doubling down on their supermajority in the House of Representatives, paving the way for a whole lot of bad defunding to go down. So the presidency and Congress are held by the Republicans, while the Supreme Court, the other third of our 3 tiers of government, was stuck at 8 members because Congress refused to allow Barack Obama to nominate a new judge. Let's hear it for Gorsuch, ladies and gentlemen. This book started out with some hope that after a Trump scare, the Democrats could reach over and take some of these working class folks, my folks, and show them that they are in fact their political party. It started out with a vision of seeing the GOP eat a lot of crow for tying their carts to a chauvinistic cocksucker afraid of his own shadow who is easily goaded into saying something pathetic. It had a lot of instances where it would show the GOP for the hypocrites they are, purporting to be for smaller government and yet digging their fingers into just as many programs, grants, and rights as the Democrats do. I wanted to break this shit down like a DJ after a wedding for you all. And then he won. He fucking won. No matter what he'd said or done, no matter how vile and fucked up he was or was going to be, no matter how much he'd lied and lied and lied and fucking lied, he'd won. In the big game at the political table, he'd played his trump card and beat the House, setting it back a few points to be sure. When that happened, I walked over to the computer on which I write my books, opened up all the chapters I had already started on, highlighted hours worth of words, work, and effort, and deleted it all. Highlight, delete, start again. It hurt. I was tied up in fucking knots for days, simultaneously catching shit for not doing enough to get the vote out, and also ducking flying turds for daring to insinuate that because Trump had won, there would be an outbreak of violence against blacks, Latinos, Muslims, the entire LGBT plus community, women, and so on. I was harassed for, quote-unquote, instigating the violence by suggesting that violence might happen, which, it correctly turned out, happened, whether I'd said anything or not. Swastikas were spray-painted on churches and mosques across the country. People were attacked in earnest. Angry white men shouted their contempt for anyone who had the audacity to be neither white nor male on flights and on subway cars. I can say this because there are videos of this happening. There are videos, and no one was arrested or taken to fucking task over it. No punishments for obscenity or vocal hate. Just wanded, waved, and sent on their way. It lasted for a while, even as the protests mounted and the Trump supporters became just as snowflake and triggered.